2022 SIEC Board member meeting and call to order. As this meeting is being recorded and for the benefit of those who have dialed in, when we recognize
This meeting is being recorded.
this meeting is being recorded. When recognized by the chair or for any motions or seconds, please state your name prior to speaking. Please note that if you are dialed in, you may not make a motion, second a motion, or vote on any motion. It's highly recommended that this meeting be in person whenever possible. Guests or persons having relevant knowledge or information may attend and speak as part of the agenda upon acceptance of the meeting agenda by the board. All other guests must be recognized by the chair before addressing the board or participating in discussion. As this meeting is again being recorded and for the benefit of the transcript, please state your name before the motion and second. At this time, I'll have Heather Fura do the roll call.
Okay. If I say your name, please let me know you are here. Mark Balistreri,
Here.
Phil McGeo,
Here.
Timothy Morris,
Here.
Jeff Nutting,
Here.
Stephanie Gomez. I believe she is in transit. Bob Terry,
Here.
Todd Murray,
Here online.
Ryan Greenberg.
Here online and on my way there.
Richard Anderson. Brian LaFleur,
Brian, the floor is here from beautiful Oriskany, New York.
Kimberly Beatty, Michael Volk, Alan Turner,
Here.
Anthony Tripp,
I'm on WebEx from Glen Cove, New York.
Juan Figueroa, I'm sorry, I just butchered that. Figueroa,
Pretty good. Here.
okay, and Michael Soretto.
Here. Okay, everyone should have received a copy of the August 2nd SIEC Board meeting. Any questions, corrections? I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes from the August 2nd meeting. Motion by Sheriff Figueroa. Seconded by Soretto. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Opposed? Carried. Everyone should have received a copy of the draft agenda for today's SIEC Board meeting. Are there any questions or comments on that? I'll entertain a motion to accept.
Anthony Tripp, second.
Somebody in the room has to second. A second. Second. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Well, we get to put the work in here. Okay. All right. Just one point of order for the SIEC Board membership. We continue to work on filling the vacant board seats. There'll be more to come on this in the future. For committee reports, we'll start off with the 911 Advisory Committee, Chair Al Turner.
I have good news to report that the 911 standards have been approved by legal. So that means we'll be able to come back to the committee for final approval, and we should be able to vote on them for board approval at the next meeting in January. And we will be progressing with more work with the committees once the new year, the end of this year begins. And hopefully we will be doing those quarterly in correlation to this board meeting.
Next, Alan, any questions? That's okay. Okay, Angie 911 Working Group. We have Paul Glasser is going to speak to this.
Morning, everybody. So we did have a meeting back in July. The purpose of the meeting was to go over our work group assignments. We did talk about a schedule. Last week, we spoke at the 911 Coordinators Conference with the group about a schedule, so we're going to put it out there. You can see the meeting dates that are there. I anticipate that'll be a little bit more aggressive once we get started on the project. But for now, we're going to leave that up there and meet quarterly until we get moving a little bit quicker. Thank you.
Well, GIS Working Group, we have Jason Baum, who co-chairs with Steve Carr. I believe Steve's on the phone too. Okay.
Hi, Jason Baum, GIS Working Group. So we did have a meeting on 9/11. Presented an org chart at the request of the working group to show the relationship of the working group to the structure of the state or the group understanding. Paul provided an update on the next gen plan. Tony Goyer from New York State ITS provided a report on the NINA Next Gen GIS Data Model Working Group, which he's involved in. Steve Carr reported that NINA is also looking for standards for other next gen initiatives such as CAD. Jeff Norris reported that they're working on transitioning to a new MSAG vendor. Greg Anderson reviewed the Highfeld PSAP boundary data that we acquired and cleaned up the line work, but we're holding on further information from the next gen plan to further edit that data.
Jason.
Yeah, Mark, if I could just add to that, Jason summed it up pretty well, but I'd just like to, our group welcomes the additional New York State representation recently. It provides a good visibility on New York State initiatives regarding next gen and GIS in general. So thanks for that support from the state.
Thanks, Steve. Okay, this is just a sample of the PSAP boundaries, and as Jason said, there's work to do on them to clean them up. State Agency Communications Committee, Matt Delaney, you're on, correct?
Good morning, I am. So the State Agency Communications Committee, we met on September 20th. We had presentations given by DOT, MTAPD, Thruway, and OMH. Every meeting we've had one or more state agencies give an update on their radio system, basically an overview for the other state agencies. So everyone can become familiar with what the other state agencies operate, how they work, how they function, what their dispatch centers are like, and so forth. We've set some 2024 meeting dates. These are for the state agencies. These are going to be in-person meetings. I won't read them off, but they're on the slide. We also had some good discussion related to some issues that were concerns that some of the agencies are experiencing. We brought those to the C3 meeting. I won't get too far ahead on that, but we brought to the C3 meeting, and that worked out really well, having that communication between the State Agency Communications Committee and the C3. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. I think we're back to you again, Matt, Citizens Alerting Committee.
All right, thank you. So Citizens Alerting Committee, we held a meeting on October 12th. It was a hybrid meeting in person and virtually. We had good attendance, good discussion. We had some timely discussion. Updates were given by DISHES, including OEM, New York City Emergency Management, State Police, and the New York State Broadcasters Association. It followed on a couple of recent events. They just had the week before, the National Wireless Emergency Alerts and Emergency Alert System Test. So we had a brief discussion with that. FEMA was on our call. FEMA did participate in the CAC and gave us some updates. That was very beneficial to have them on the call. We also, New York City Emergency Management gave us an update on Notify NYC, which is their multi-faceted alerting to get information out through social media, through subscription alerts, and they can also use wireless emergency alerts. Talked about the flooding that happened at the end of September in New York City and the amount of alerts that they sent related to road closures and basement alerts and so forth for some of those really flooded situations. State Police gave a brief presentation on Amber Alerts, as we had unfortunately just had an actual Amber Alert situation shortly before the meeting at Moreau State Park. Thankfully, it turned out to be a recovery, but discussed the Amber Alert process and the rather strict criteria for actually issuing Amber Alert versus something like a missing child alert, which has different criteria and is much more frequently issued. OEM also talked about air quality alerts. There was some, I'm sure many remember the summer with some of the air quality issues in New York State, creating criteria, actually developed formal criteria to when we would issue a wireless emergency alert for air quality. Did not have to issue one, but we're now prepared if do in the future to make sure people are aware of impending or actual air quality issue. And 2024 meeting dates are on the slide. We are going to meet at the hybrid of in-person and virtual. We have people attending from out of state as well, representing industry and FEMA. And if anyone who's not participating in CAC, if you're on the board or interested, just let me know. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt.
Actually, just one more slide.
Sorry, go ahead, Matt.
Just one more slide, actually. If you can, yep, thank you. New York Alert. If you're not signed up for New York Alert, we recommend that you sign up. It's alert.ny.gov. This is the New York subscription-based mass notification system. This is where you can get alerts such as those missing person alerts that don't rise to an Amber Alert, public health alerts, transportation alerts that's tied through DOT's 511 for road closures and incident reports. All right, that's it. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Matt. This time we'll entertain a motion to accept committee reports. Bob Terry. Al Turner, second. Second by Al Turner, all in favor? And both? Program updates. We'll start off with Phil McHugh on the grants.
So everyone is excited to know that grants are out now. So your 23 PSAP formula and SIG formula grant, excuse me, are out. The 23 targeted is still in process, so that should be coming soon. As many of you are aware, we are doing an overview. Next slide. We are doing an overview of our grants, which is much needed. So the 24 PSAP operations grant and 24 formula grant, we're hoping to have out soon, but they are being worked on. As you can see on the slide there, we are going over permissible, non-permissible costs. We listen to you at the meetings that we have, those C3 meetings and other venues in which we interact with you. We're hearing some of the suggestions and concerns, and we're trying to work those into the grants. We are going to be looking for some more verification. With that being said, the award amounts going forward may change. There is really no set answer on how they will change, but because of we're going to be requesting the validation of the information you're providing us, we suspect that there'll be some variances in the award amount. In addition to that, for all of the grants going forward, we will have a technical guide to say, this is exactly what you're putting in this box to avoid any confusion. There was another concern that has come up in the past is that answers that we received from 5, 6 different people had 5 or 6 different answers because of interpretation. So this technical guide will hopefully clear up any confusion. As I said, scoring is going to change a little bit, and a warning on the award amount may be different.
And when Phil's referring to the award amounts, he's talking about the individual amounts, not the total award amount.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry.
That's it.
24 targeted grant also being reviewed and overhauled. As I just said, with everything with the PSAP formula and SIG formula, the same thing will apply to the targeted grant. We will have a technical guide for this as well. So hopefully that will clear up any confusion in the back and forth that we have had in the past with requests for further information. The additional funding for Next Generation 911, $20 million. This came out this past year, and we're going to have that going forward in years to come. So it'll help assist with moving NG down the road. ComU program.
Yeah, go right on into the copy.
So currently right now at the SPTC, we have a CompT class going on out there. Chris Carney, Brian LaFleur is on the phone, and Mike Carl are all out there putting on a CompT course for us. That's a technical course teaching more of the inner workings of communication technicians. And we have a bunch of INTDs coming up over the next couple months. As you can see on the screen here, we'll have one next week out in Buffalo, followed by another CompT up in Washington County, Oxcom out at the SPTC, another regional INT course down in Suffolk, followed up in December with our planning meeting for next year's TA and course schedule for the ComU program. If anyone is interested and has ideas for that, please reach out to myself, Julie, or our oic.training@dishes.ny.gov mailbox. Slide. To help promote this, we're sharing our schedule, plan events with as many people as we can. As I said previously, if you guys have suggestions, concerns, any requests for courses, please let us know. We have started to go to a more regional approach. We realize that with scheduling conflicts, location of people that would like to attend, that their schedules just don't afford them the opportunity to come out and use the SPTC. So we're trying to approach a regional aspect of the ComU program to help give a little bit more availability to those people down on the island, out in Buffalo, and in northern New York. Again, there's the training contact information. Of our overview of numbers, these change from year to year due to retirements, people leaving positions, to people that are no longer interested. But currently, we are at 193. To date, we've trained 715 people. Those blue numbers there are tentative as there's still ongoing courses being offered, so those will change. We actually, for that Erie County INTD that is coming up next week, we've filled 2 classes of 20. So we'll have about 39 to 40 people there because there are still a few people trying to sign up.
Can you go back to the other slide? How many people do we have in the state?
There's 193 that are credentialed total across 7 different areas.
Good, Mike?
Yeah. Well, as far as those credentialed people, if you're looking to know where they're located, the CHASM accounts that you all should be utilizing as part of your county grant requirements, the information of these people credentialed are in there, as well as some of the trainees that are working on task books, meaning that they're pretty much almost right there to be credentialed. A lot of this information, we try to keep it as up to date as we can. So CHASM would be a great tool to utilize to search and see in your area in the different categories who is credentialed and not.
Who's eligible for this training?
I mean, anyone that takes the prerequisites to each course can attend the training. It is geared towards telecommuters and radio
Do they
engineers.
have to work at a center?
Not necessarily.
No, but you have to have a background in some type of radio.
Because I'm just looking at, trained 715 people. Yeah, we only have 178. We never had any more than 198.
That's a total across the board for all the years combined.
I was just saying, train all these people. Where are they?
They're out completing task books. So the process, I came from this, so I can give you a little description. So the process is you have to meet the prerequisites, which is mostly NIMS courses. You have to, of course, take the course. Once you complete the course, you're given what's called a task book, a position task book. And it's basically a practical application. You have to go out to planned and unplanned events and complete tasks for that task book that show you can demonstrate that you can do those functions. That takes a little bit of time.
I know I have a couple people in the program.
And then once they complete their task book, then they complete some cover forms or summary sheets of paper that accompany the whole packet to us. And then we go through and make sure that they meet all the requirements, and then we sign off, then they become credentialed. So the process generally from when you take the course until you complete could take anywhere. I think you have up to 3 years to complete it.
And that's another reason why we're trying to offer these regional offerings of exercises and trainings to be able to afford people the opportunity to get their task books completed. That's not a requirement that is necessarily up to us. It's also, we have to follow, as Mark said, the NIM standard and CISA ECD standards.
Do they have to sign a requirement that they're going to assist us with, if we train them, what they're going to, when we need them?
It's strictly on a voluntary basis right now. It's up to their agency. Their agency has to sign off and approve.
Okay, thank you. Is there any incentives given to them so they can complete the trainings besides certification?
Not necessarily, because it is a voluntary thing. We have utilized them quite a bit at pretty much, I think, every one of our planned events that we support here with Dishes. We've utilized the ComU personnel, whether as a credentialed person or someone that's looking to complete the task book. During COVID, a lot of the relationships that we built through the ComU program was definitely utilized. Mark leveraged a lot of the resources down on the island to help fill portable needs with portable radios. And so it has proven that we've definitely utilized people that have gone through the program. It is a difficult lift to get everybody the time to get their task books completed, and that's why we're trying to go towards that more regional approach to help afford people more opportunity to complete those task books in a timely manner.
And the benefits are to the counties and the state. It's a partnership so that we work together with our equipment. So if you ever do have that unplanned event, a lot of folks that are already credentialed or in training know how to set up that equipment. It's part of the training process. So.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, we'll move on to the 911 program. Mr. Glasser. Want the clicker or you want me to just click?
No, you can click. It's only 2 slides. Pretty quick. So again, here's our mission for the 911 program. We've had this up here before. There are certain components we're working on for the 911. Basically the plan, you heard Jason talk about it. We have 3 plans that we're working on. We have our state plan, NG roadmap, and our NG implementation plan. We have been working with our consultant to go through this. We're fairly far in the process. Now it's me rereading things and just going over and making corrections. Updated 911 standards, Alan already talked about that. One of the other things we're looking into and we're trying to, get some information on is a central resource for PSAPs across the state. Often we ask, several people in this office ask for things as we go through the year and be able to have a certain place where they can just put this information in without us constantly sending out surveys. Might be beneficial to the PSAPs. We know they're busy. We know they got a lot going on. So this may be a place for that to just drop this information so we have it at our needs. And then we're working on some other future enhancements as we go through to help the PSAPs. Next one. So the Next Gen 911 project, certainly the topic of the day. DISHS is currently working on the RFI. It's going to be released in the near future. Again, once that information is received, it's a normal procurement policy. We're going to go through a review. We'll work with our stakeholder communities to include our PSAPs, our C3 folks, also our consultants. We'll go through this pretty in detail, and then we'll go through the next step. Following this review, we'll continue the process towards the solution. So, I've said this a couple of times. I've talked at least twice now to the group. It's been 6 months since I've been here almost to the day, and we're moving forward at a pretty good pace. So I certainly appreciate everybody's cooperation and input, and we're definitely going to make this thing move as we get going. I think that's it. I think it was only the 2.
Excellent. All right, other updates. Yes.
So are we looking at what we're gonna do with these apps? How the state gonna come out with some standards?
I don't believe we're coming out with any standards anytime soon. I attended a presentation yesterday at APCO. These over-the-top apps, I'm assuming that's what you're talking about?
Yeah, the schools are all using them for.
Yeah, and until we, I'm not the subject matter top of the world expert on Next Gen, but until we come up with a fully developed next generation 911 system, these over-the-top apps are going to continue. I just don't see how we can not have them. So they're going to continue for a while.
I would say it's something we're going to have to look at during the whole process.
They all sell them, they connect to the centers, but they don't. And it's gonna be impossible, the way they want us to monitor them at the centers, it's impossible. So we need to come up with a standard that they can feed. They can all say, hey, you gotta meet this standard. The state will feed it to the centers then, like we do the ASAPs, Just wanted to throw that out there, but it's becoming a problem for us in Monroe County, and I'm sure it's gotta become becoming a problem all over.
And I do believe that there are standards that they have to meet in order to connect to our system. So we're obviously going to hold them to that.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay, other reports, Communications Consortium Chair report, Mr. Smith.
Good morning, everyone. We held our meeting last night here. Everybody supplied their regional reports, and that's working a little smoother. Last night, there were 3 very good conversations, one based on a presentation done last week at the 911 Coordinators Association on mental health and wellness for public safety dispatchers, something that obviously everyone in emergency service needs to address. And there was a great presentation that was provided and a very good conversation about items that different regions had success with. So hopefully we continue moving forward with that and keep our staff where we need them to be. As Phil mentioned earlier, there was good feedback and conversation last night regarding grants in the future and allowable expenses and things like that. It's, as I've mentioned before in previous meetings, it's great to have that communication between the consortium chairs and the office, and that continues. And then Mark and I had the pleasure last month to go to the Cyber and Infrastructure Security Agency's Cyber Resilience 911 Symposium. That was the first one they held down in Washington, D.C. Chris Tuttle was involved in our meeting last night from CISA, and we had a very good conversation about the future with that. 911 centers in a lot of places across the county aren't responsible for cyber, but they'll be held accountable for it, you know, if something goes wrong. And you know, there's some nefarious actors throughout the world that are putting every aspect of our society in jeopardy, especially 911. And there were great examples of that. Just like on the technical assistance side with radios, CISA has a lot of resources available for 911. There's conversations about bringing them in next year. And I think through the office and the C3, we'll get more opportunities for technical assistance and support, and most importantly, education for our centers as it relates to cybersecurity. That's all I have.
Thanks, Dan. Jay Kopstein, are you on the phone?
I am, sir. Good
All
morning.
right, you're up.
Just thinking of this.
Okay, gonna start with, we're looking at the comment in 2024 for planning purposes to give ORGSCOM a chance to shine. One of the issues, the big concern is AI. We're looking at that. The Communications Task Force is continuing to meet. We have a meeting in November. We're meeting with EMI on updating task books and the like. Cyber and 911 we just mentioned. I'm not going to mention it again. ARRL is now active with ORGSCOM on the Communications Section Task Force. EMI is going along with CISA, ECD in redeveloping the task books, the positions, etc., both for COML, ITSL, etc. For those who need them, I have NIFOGs available. Please let somebody on staff know and I will get them out. And one of the big pushback issues across the country on train the trainers is the requirement for being totally updated on the ICS courses. And that's being looked at again. The only other thing I would bring up is I'm not going to bring up the individual products. You can go on to the CISA.gov/SafeCom website to look at the printed products that have come out. And that'll, for those who need it, there can be some guidance. New York is very, very lucky in that we have the major cities and the state can provide the same guidance without having to go national for guidance. That's what I've got. I'm more than happy to answer questions. Thank you.
Any questions for Jay? Okay, move on to old business. Do we have any old business? All right, entertain a motion to accept old business. Morris, Lieutenant Morris, second. Perry, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. Any new business? Seeing none, a motion to accept new business.
Motion.
Sheriff, second. Okay. Alan, all in favor? All right. Opposed? Carried. On your agenda are the meeting dates for next year, so you can pencil them on your calendars. We have January 17th, May 15th, August 14th, October 16th, all at 10 o'clock. I again encourage everybody to do in person. It's much better. And obviously after the meeting, there's a lot of networking that goes on, so it's good that everybody's here. We do need to have a quorum, so we need people in person for the quorum. And, so please, if you can.
What's the minimum number for a quorum?
We have to have 9. And we currently have 10. So that's how close it is. So we need to make sure that we, for those on the line, and we know things come up where people have to, you're sick or can't travel. So we do offer the WebEx, but again, we prefer in person. Anything for good of the order?
8:15. It may not be a conflict, but is that the police memorial that day?
I don't know. Check out.
Is it? But if you know, do you know? I don't know. Off the top of my head, no.
We'll check into it. Okay. All right. Anything else for the good of the order? Okay. Thank you, everybody, for taking your time to come here and do this. Everyone have a safe and happy holiday, and I guess we can all say see you next year.
Well, so, since I have a citizens advisory committee.
When we're not.
So when we're not just certain aspect of it,
They may or may not have it, maybe. But 3 is completely.